Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM24 Yeti, episode number 38. And okay, here we go. It's coming up into the end of season stuff. I had two objectives left. One of them was the Tour of Slovenia, which we did last episode, in which in the final stage we cracked the top 10 to get a super success evaluation for that one. There was then one more result remaining, which was the Canadian National Road Championships, in which Pickrell needed to score a top 10, and he got fourth place. In that fourth place, he had no teammate support, by the way. He was the favorite for the race, so a little disappointing he didn't do better, but it's a little easier when others have teammates to work against you. So after securing a super success for that one, our team sponsor evaluation for the year is now 87. There's one objective remaining. We didn't finish top 0 in the Team World ranking, which is impossible. I hate that you get penalized for not having something. We're 27th in the classification, which is much higher than a continental team should be placing. So we've actually had a really good season, other than an 11th in the first objective of the year. We should be closer to a 100, but that's okay. I'll take the 87. They've changed the mechanic on it, so you're not getting credit for successes for wins in other places. But our biggest thing is we have a €920,000 per year sponsorship right now, and we've had that for the last 3 years. It's time to increase that. Desperately time to increase that, because we need to sign some better riders that aren't too keen on signing with us, and they're better and not too excited about signing, meaning they're going to be expensive. We need some bonus income. We need a good amount of bonus income, and this is per year. So you add 12K, we're only adding 1,000 a month. Even though it's only late June, I'm at a stage where I just got some new sponsor offers in, and in theory it's going to be the last sponsor offers I'm going to see. So fingers crossed. I haven't looked at them yet. There's 3 of them, and there's one existing out there. So with those 4 sponsor offers, I'm really hoping that we can get to about $1 million. That extra 70K or so will make a massive difference over the course of the year on what we can afford to spend. So looking at the prospecting, there are currently not 4, but 5 sponsor offers to choose from. Going down to Maserati, they are offering $962,000 on a 1-year deal. Right now, I am not at all concerned about their demands for riders and where they're from. Right now, we've got Sweden, and Sweden's not unlocked, so we're not doing anything in that department. 962, that's our start point. That is an increase. 40K. 907, that's a drop. There's $1 million. We've got $1 million offer. There's another $1 million offer, and a third. We have $3 million offers. Okay, I am relieved. Now, first off, none of the nations are available to us right now. Of them, the highest offer is a 1-year deal for Quebec of South Africa. I think that's a great way to go for us. So at $1,073,000, it's $150K more over the course of the season, which is slightly more than $10K per month that we're going to have extra to work with in the coming season. Before August the 1st, the pressure lifts just a little bit, eases off. Shu has leveled up, and he's now a 4.5-star talent. He's still quite one-dimensional, but I'm working on his second dimension, giving him a little bit of quality around the edges. We already know he can have top speed, right? We know he's got a top speed of 77. That is unchanged. Most of his attributes are unchanged. 4 of them have increased. Very useless. He's got a +1 to prologue. Semi-useful. He's got a +1 to acceleration. But as I've been training him in Barrador, he's going to be much more effective in the other 2 attributes. A +3 to each. We've added a +3 to his stamina rating and his flat rating. So from 64s to 67s for each. Both of those are going to be incredibly useful in making Zhu a better sprinter. He still can't climb. He's still not punchy. He still lacks in the other areas. And I will continue to train him in Barrador a little bit longer, because if we can get another +3 in each of those, you add that stamina and the flat rating and get them to about a 70, he can actually be a decent sprinter ish, especially if they add one more to the acceleration to round that off as well. And then we can try to eke out some climbability in him in his later levels. He's still just 24. He's getting closer. He's slowing down. But we have our first 4.5-star rider. It's time. We've reached August 1st. We've also picked up another bonus. Haglin has leveled up. He's still 4 stars though, but he's now our highest rated 4 stars. So we've still added another 10th or 2/10ths to our overall rating, which of course is going to be huge in getting us into Continental Pro. We were pretty close last season, and right now, between Zhu and Haglund, we might be on that bubble as it is. So one 4.5-star signing may be enough, and it may have to be enough because we only have 40K to spend. We only have one expiring contract that we would like to re-sign in Zipanati, but anyway, back to Haglund. Haglund, remember, he has absurd potential. So he's picked up a lot of attribute points here, though no 3s. Everything's a 1 or a 2, but it's a lot of them. Medium mountain, +1. Hills, +2. Time trial, +2. Flat, +1. Stamina, +2. And resistance, +2. Overall, climbing still weak, just a 72 overall, but he's really coming along. He's really coming along right now. He's focused on stage racing, which does give you something that's a little more broad. I think we'll take one more level into stage racing. If he's still lagging behind in mountain, we will change that focus. We will change it to the climbing more directly. I mean, the hills has already come along. It's where it needs to be. 75 is perfectly serviceable for a tour contender. His sprint is atrocious. It's a 6160, but his cobble rating is serviceable, 67. You don't generally face Paris-Roubaix type scenarios in stage races, and so those are incredibly infrequent. And at 73 time trial and 76 prologue, like, those ratings are now good enough where he's not going to lose a significant chunk of time to other contenders. And at the weaker end of things, he'll gain a good chunk of time. What we need, though, is we need that mountain and medium mountain rating to come up. Hence the idea that one more stage racing level up, and then I think we need to change that focus to climbing. So before I go into any contracts, let's look at how close we are with that bubble. First off, the World Tour teams. Right now, it looks like Intermarché is the one who would maybe break in, but UNOX is right behind them. So with free agency, that could go anywhere. Then you get into the Continental Pro teams, and you're looking at just above 3 stars. We are now fractionally above 3 stars, where we were fractionally below at the end of last season. That's it. I mean, that's the difference we've made, right? Zhu has picked up that half star, but he was already on the edge. Now he's just above. And then with Haglund coming along and joining that top 3 and moving up into that number 2 spot, we've picked up just that little bit. But that little bit, for the moment, has made a pretty significant difference. We're well above the bubble right now. But there's a ton of free agents out there, and they're all going to sign, and these teams are all going to get better. And where we are fractionally above 3 stars, fractionally below drops you to 38th and off the bubble, which, of course, last season we were just fractionally below, and that was a little bit further down than this is. I think based on free agency, we are probably looking at your typical case of the bloating of the database getting a little bit stronger. So I'd say right now, I would still suspect that by the time signings are done, if we don't add anybody else and we don't see any changes by October internally, I would think we would probably miss the bubble again. It might be closer this time, but I would think we would still miss the bubble. So signing at least one more 4.5-star rider is priority 1 for this signing period. I'm only going to even be able to potentially target 2 as is, and so our hands are really tied. We're going to have to possibly overpay by quite a bit. Speaking of having to overpay, possibly a little bit, possibly quite a lot, because looking at our dossiers, they've been horribly unsuccessful. The guys that we are targeting this year, they don't want our team. They are not interested. The last guy on my list, who's a current 3-star with a 4.5-star potential, is the only rider we got into the green. There is one additional rider that did not make this list that is on my list, and that's Zippinati. And Zippinati didn't have a lot of interest in re-signing, but he's at least in the yellow. My last-ditch effort was Langolati. We just added him in mid-July. I knew he was in the red, but I didn't know where in the red he was going to be, and I was hoping that maybe we could get a 10, 15, 20% boost to get him into the yellow to maybe be able to sign him, but it didn't happen. So Langolati is already out. That's one. He was the last of the 4.5-star guys that I was interested in. The points were just difficult because all three of them are expensive. That frees up the ability to negotiate with Zippinati. And at this point, I think I might just go in and negotiate with all or most of these guys to see what our options are. There are two big targets for me that I want on the team. Those targets being Aiden Shaw, because massive potential and already being quite good. And then Carlos Montez, because he also has very good potential. Those are the two that I'd really like to sign. I think Montez is going to be an easy signature. We have 3 expiring contracts. Zippinati is one of those. So there's only 2 additional guys that would be going out. I think realistically, I'm only going to be signing about 4 riders, with Zippinati potentially being the 4th rider. But Shaw and Montez, if I can get those 2 on pretty affordable rates, though Shaw was not too thrilled by us coming in. And I am a little nervous. He was way down at 20%. We didn't get him up to green. He's already 4 stars. I think we might have to overpay for him. But realistically, I would love to have Shaw. But we have to get a 4.5-star guy. Otherwise, I think we miss the bubble. If we are still in Continental next season, the next episode will literally be signing day 2028. Because there is literally nothing to do between here and there, other than internal development, which is absolutely no reason to stop and do an episode. I would hate for that to be the scenario we find ourselves in. We desperately need to make Continental Pro. We must make Continental Pro for the coming season. And I think that's going to mandate that we sign one of our 4.5-star options, which is Derek G or Kajikam. We have to. Let's hope that they don't demand an absurd amount of money now that we do have Zhu at 4.5 stars. I think the addition of one of those 2 guys should do it. Should get us, even if it's at the low end of Continental Pro, it should, in theory, be enough. Especially with Hagelin having leveled up and bumped our 4-star to a near 4.5 star. I think that combination, 2 guys and a third that's close, should be enough. But again, every year the database just blows up a little further. It swells, and so you have to stay ahead of that. And it's been hard for us. But I think it's going to come down to what happens with those 2. But let's start with Shaw and Montez, because if you add those 2 and Zippinati and one of the top 2 guys, that's your signings right there. We don't need to bother with any of the others this season. Montez coming in at 3 o'clock. Montez coming in at 3K is an easy sign for me. Shaw's profile, just 19, already 74-75 as a sprinter, but what we're talking about for a 5.5-star guy is more about just being raw pace. He's going to be a lot like Zhu, not very well-rounded. Could be problematic. Wouldn't be the best signing in the world by any stretch, but that top speed is going to be World Tour competitive level. He's happy with length and roll of 3 years, and sprinter 3.2K, not enough, but it shouldn't take much of a boost from here. We've got 3 more shots at it. We'll see if he suddenly gets happy and accepts. 4.7. You know, for what I was expecting for Shaw, that's not bad. Zippinati asking for 3.5K. May just exclude him. He'll be the first sacrifice if we don't have the cash, but otherwise we'll hang on to him. He's only 3.5 stars. He's only going to be 3.5 stars, but he's got a 74 mountain, 72 medium mountain, 73 hills, and definitely still has a bit more left in the tank. Considering that most of our guys are prospects that have high potential but just aren't there, having somebody in the current, in the here and now, who's a mid-level climber is helpful. I mean, I think that's our highest rating as of this moment in the mountains. Of the last two, the highest rated, most helpful for us is Derek G, but Derek G is also 29 years of age at this point in the playthrough. Kajikum's just 25, but neither has a ton of potential, and it's another sprinter, which is not necessarily what we need. But what we need is a contract we can afford. That's going to be the biggest thing on the comparison of these two, and if they are both affordable, if they're both under 10K, I will happily take each and every one of them, but I doubt that that's going to be the case. Let's see what it is for Kajikum. Coming in at 2 years and sprinter, he's happy with those two things, but not happy with the interest or the salary level, and well short at 9.6K, which means we're talking 10K plus, but not significantly higher than the 10K plus. But at 10.6, it barely made a dent. 12? Still not there. Happy, but still not signing, which means it's really going to take a lot more to get Kajikum signed. We have to have one of these two guys. Derek G might be asking way more than this, so I'm going to have to take a significant bump, I think, to get this up over the edge. I mean, we're talking about 80%, and we need to get to 100, and we're already happy. I think, yikes. I'm going to add a year to make him happier, to help us. I'm going to go with absolute sprinter to help us, and we're going to bring it up to almost 15. That's enough. That was a big jump to make that happen, though, and disappointing. 14.6. I was hoping for 10, knowing that it was pretty unrealistic. 14.6 will get us a 4.5 star guy, though. But is Derek G going to be a better option? The initial asking price is just 11.6 for Derek G. That means it really shouldn't take much more than this. I think we're going to get Derek G. I'm going to start at 13.6 for our first offer. He's not yet happy, and we are still well short. It's going to take actually a lot more. Jumping to 17.6, though, he's happy with the salary. We've already gone 3 years and absolute leader, so it is going to take a little bit more. It's going to take closer to 20. Let's see if that does it. That does it. So 19.6. We might be able to make this work. Derek G alone brings our team index from 29th to 22nd, but uses up half of the salary that we have to offer. So it doesn't add up. The 5 guys that we've talked to, we cannot sign all 5. So my choices are pretty simple. Really, there's 2 choices. With the nearness of the size of the contract for Kajikum and G is a lock. We are going to sign Derek G. He is higher rated. He's much higher up the 4.5 star rating column, and in my eyes is a much more well-rounded writer. Looking at his web, you can see why I'm keen on signing Derek G. We're talking about a guy who can finish in the top 10 of a Grand Tour, which seems a little unrealistic based on his ratings, but that happened this year, and his ratings were based on entering this year. So, but medium mountain hills wise, and extremely well-rounded web. Not much of a sprinter. He's only got additional points left in Northern Classics, and at 29, like, good luck getting any of that. He's been to 10 monuments. He's been to 5 Grand Tours by 2027 of this playthrough. He's only scored 4 victories, though. But he's a consistent finisher. And we must sign a 4.5 star guy. I can't repeat that enough. We have to add one to our arsenal, no matter the cost. Unfortunately, the cost at 20K is not the worst in the world. It's not good. It's not good, but it's not the worst. I think we should be able to sign a guy like this for 10 to 12K, but it is what it is. He's making $46,000 on his existing contract with Israel Premier Tech. He is taking a huge step down to join our team, and a huge cut in salary, and he's still at his prime. So for us, it's a huge deal. Derek G signing number 1. That uses up half of what we have. We've got 20K left. Kajicum's almost 15K. The other guys are 3 to 5K each. The 2 options are to sign Kajicum, G, and Shaw, and use every last penny that we have, get the best prospect and the 2 best here and now guys, and guarantee that we are going to make Continental Pro. Our second option is to bypass Kajicum entirely and go, hey, we got the best 4.5-star guy. We've got a second 4.5-star guy on the roster, and we've got a very good 4-star guy. From what we've seen of the last 2 years of the growth and development and what it took to make Continental Pro, that will easily make Continental Pro. That's going to be bottom third at the lowest, probably mid Continental Pro in terms of ratings. All we need to do is qualify. That's all I care about. I can handle the rest. Well, hopefully. We'd have to do a lot of racing and get a lot of performances and score a lot of points. All the bigger races would be the focal point. That's another story. We got to qualify first. Aiden Shaw is the best prospect, guaranteed in either scenario. So Aiden Shaw will be signed. But in this scenario, skipping Kajicum, assuming that we are safely in, you still take Aiden Shaw, and then we add in Montez and Zipanati. Still sign 4 riders, spend 30 of the 40K, saving us 10K a month, which obviously will go towards paying our staff. That our staff's going to cost a lot more than that. We're likely to lose money over the course of next season, but as we get into bigger races and have bigger prize money available to us, we should be able to at least just about offset that. And once we're in Continental Pro, it's a whole nother ball game from there. Things will change at that point, and that's what we need. I don't think I need to cough up the 40K, the desperation move, and sign Kajicum. So we will sign G, we will sign Shaw, we will sign Montez, and we will re-sign Zipanati, which means we have 2 guys exiting and 3 new guys coming in, with 2 of them being elite and 1 of them being a pretty dang good prospect, one of the best prospects we've had come into the team. And then 1 of them being the best prospect we've had coming into the team and already a 4-star talent. Just like that, our new team index is, well, it's still 3 and a little bit in the stars. And we're very much at the top end of that 3 and a little bit. It's not quite 3 1/4. I'd say Archaea is solidly 3 1/4 and actually a little bit then some. And that's 20th. I mean, that's almost World Tour. Right now, that's almost World Tour. Once the signings come in, we will filter down quite a bit. But compared to last season, what we have right now with 2 4.5-star guys and a high 4-star guy, it's should be safe. It should be safe into Continental Pro. We're going to finish this episode here in just a moment, but first let's take a look at just how saturated the market is going to be, as that ultimately will decide our fate. So there's a handful of 6-star guys. The 5.5-star list isn't that long. That is not that long as far as 5.5 stars go. But what about the 5-star list? You would think most or all of them will easily fall into World Tour level. Looking at kind of where those contracts are now, you've got like a Uno X. We do have a smaller team here with a 5-star rider. Cofidis, Quippo Kern Pharma have a 5-star rider. Hagens Berman have a 5-star rider in Bitziger. Archaea Samsic. Uno X, another 5-star rider. So there's definitely some quality out there, and you would imagine that some of that's going to go into Continental Pro level. But then we're down to the 4.5-star talents. Now, if this list is massive, we could have a problem on our hands, because the World Tour is only going to, swallow up so many of them, and some of them are definitely going to get their way down to that Continental and Continental Pro level. And it's a pretty big list. It is a very big list. So that 4.5-star talent list is quite large. It is quite large. And, you can just quickly look at the teams that they're a part of. And there's a lot of Continental Pro riders here and a lot of World Tour riders here. But this absolutely is going to be what shapes our destiny, as where these guys go. As you know, the 5 stars and above are going to end up on the World Tour teams. That's a pretty big list. We do have a challenge still on our hands. We are not guaranteed. I've taken a chance on not signing Kajicum. Fingers crossed that we've made the correct choice on that. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.